Today's reading is The Redeeming Light from Rays of the One Light, the weekly commentaries of the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by J. Donald Walters, Swami Ananda. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teaching of Paramahansa Yogananda. The book of Isaiah in the Bible, chapter 9, tells us, "The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. That they dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined." What is this light of which so many scriptures speak? An autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, we read of an early experience the Master had with that light. I was blessed about the age of 8 with a wonderful healing through the photograph of Lahiri Mahasaya. This experience gave intensification to my divine love. While at our family estate in Ekapur, Bengal, I was stricken with Asiatic cholera. My life was despaired of. The doctors could do nothing. At my bedside, Mother frantically motioned to me to look at Lahiri Mahasaya's picture on the wall above my head. Bow to him mentally. She knew I was too feeble even to lift my hands in salutation. If you really show your devotion and inwardly kneel before him, your life will be spared. I gazed at his photograph and saw there a blinding light enveloping my body and the entire room. My nausea and other uncontrollable symptoms disappeared. I was well. At once I felt strong enough to bend over and touch Mother's feet in appreciation of her immeasurable faith in her guru. Mother pressed her head repeatedly against the little picture. O omnipresent Master, I thank thee that thy light hath healed my son. I realized that she too had witnessed the luminous blaze through which I had instantly recovered from a usually fatal disease. Where my light is, God once told a saint whom the divine light had healed, no darkness can dwell. The divine light, pure, calm, liberating, is the only final cure for every kind of delusion, ill health, emotional grief, and spiritual ignorance. Seek it daily in the silence, in deep meditation. As the Bhagavad Gita says in the 5th chapter, "For whom that darkness of the soul is chased by light, splendid and clear shines manifest the truth as if a sun of wisdom sprang to shed its beams of light." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
I'd like to begin this morning with words from Paramahansa Yogananda, a collection of his prayers and poems, and feel the power in the words of these great ones, all the great ones, the power just behind the words. This prayer demand is entitled, "A Demand for Removal of the Veil of Illusion." Veils surround me, Father, hiding thee from me. I love the dainty colored veils of roses and daisies, the shining veils of clouds of burning gold, the dark star-decked shawl of the night. But how long wilt thou remain hidden behind all these veils? I love them because they hint at thy presence, yet still they hide thee. I long to see thee as thou art, behind all this cover of veils. I know the hints of God, of the Divine Mother, of the redeeming light, which is the topic of our reading today. The hint of all of that exists everywhere. And yet, who's the one that forgets? Hint, hint, I am right here in this person you are speaking with, Supriya. Hint, hint, I am right here in the blades of grass that you walk upon. Hint, hint, I'm here in your meditation space as you sit here every day and try your best. And yet, the mind tends to wander, it tends to do whatever it's going to do. And yet, through our efforts, through the grace of God, Divine Mother, and the Guru, for those who have chosen, found their spiritual teacher in the world, if you haven't, he or she is there, still there, just waiting for us to stumble upon, to find, to be drawn to the magnetism of these great ones. These are the ones that we can rely on, always. I don't rely on this one, because I get tricked, I get distracted. But the more and more in my mind that I can remember, just remember, you don't have to walk around like this. Just remember, behind everything, the hint is there, and behind that hint, when I remember and recognize the hint, the reality is there. The redeeming light is there. In our reading, the Paramahansa Yogananda as a little boy, there he is in cholera, nausea, probably could be very near death, I don't know. And yet his mother's faith and devotion. She knew that Mukunda, his name as a little boy, was even too ill to raise his head, and she just said, bow mentally to the picture of the mother's teacher, the Guru, this one, Lahiri Mahashaya. She said, bow mentally to him. Offer your devotion in all that you are. And of course, as a mother, praying for the life of her son to continue. And instantly, he was healed through the faith, through the devotion. This is how simple and yet not so easy living in the world of distractions and delusion. But this is how simple it is, that we just not only remember, but connect with as much as we can in all that we do, with that redeeming light, the power of the redeeming light. In reflecting over this reading this past week, my mind continually wanted to go to the healing prayers that we did after the meditation this morning. We do that every fourth Sunday of the month, unless I forget, and then we do it on the fifth Sunday of the month, like we did today. So the power, though, of that healing prayer, Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, minds, and souls. And in studying and listening to some tapes and things this weekend, before the weekend, Asha Praver very interestingly said, and I've heard her say this in person as well, and it's regarding the healing prayers. As a young girl on this path of self-realization, the healing prayers were already being used, and she said, in all of her innocence and all of her wonderfulness, Asha continues to be an incredible teacher, highly respected, and she's been here in Dallas. And she said, as that young girl with enthusiasm, she heard the prayer, Divine Mother, manifest thy healing presence. And I don't know if it was consciously or unconsciously, but she thought, oh, make it even more, even stronger. Divine Mother, manifest thy healing energy, light, and joy. And she's changed the words that were passed down by Paramahansa Yogananda through Swami Kriyananda. And so that's how she prayed. Instead of manifest thy presence, manifest thy energy, light, and joy. Well, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, in my mind, anyway. And for years and years, that is how Asha led it. And because she was such a magnetic and a highly respected teacher, all of Ananda started saying, manifest thy healing energy, light, and joy. And some 20, 25 years later, Asha says, in her continuing to study the words of Yoganandaji, she read, there it was, in print, that Yogananda had said the healing prayer, manifest thy healing presence. And she said, when she realized she was the one who had changed the presence just to energy, light, and joy, seems like no big deal. But 20 years later, in her wisdom, she said, she changed the words of the Master Yoganandaji. An email had already existed now 20 years later, and she said, I emailed everyone that I could, saying, hey guys, I changed this 20 years ago. Come back to the original, to the power of the words of Yoganandaji, and pray, manifest thy healing presence. And in that presence, that's all there is the light of God, the energy of God, the joy. So that she didn't need to make it more flowery. And in her wisdom, again, she brought it back to, that may seem very simple. We here in Dallas did the same thing. We were using words, changing words, actually adding our own words, and we went there for a little while. And by the grace of God and through Molly and Rod Hansen, who were our healing prayer ministries, and it still does exist here. If you want to know more information, see Molly. That they connected with Mary Kretzmann, who by this time was the head of the healing ministry in California, and for worldwide prayers. They talked with Mary, and we all tried to come back to the original again. Come back to the words of the Master. Manifest thy healing presence. And in that presence encompasses the joy, the light, and all that is of the healing nature. So that was just an interesting thing that came back to my mind, and then I found this the video online, and Asha was talking about that. So I just share it with you. When we read the words of the Masters, the power behind them, when we tune into them, can be experienced and felt. And find a little short phrase or something you can memorize of the Master's words, and use it throughout your day as japa, just repeating, even if it's as simple as, Lord, I am thine, or thou and I never apart. I am the wave, you are the sea. Together we are one in God's bliss. Find a little phrase of the words of the Masters. Write it down if you need to. That's what I do. I'm the Post-it note queen. Remember when they first came out, and I've said this for many years, I used those. They were only yellow then, and now we have all kinds of colors. Write it down. Put it on your computer. When I was in corporate America, I had my Post-its to remind me, because I tend to forget. And yet, meditate every day. Gather that energy of God, meaning within yourself. Do your meditation routine. The path of Kriya Yoga is here. It is a very powerful airplane technique. That's what Master called it, not an airplane technique. The airplane route to God. We can do it slowly. We can take our time. But eventually it's like, stop floundering around in this world of delusion. Enjoy the world, and yet meditate every day, so that the experience of God that comes to you is now being experienced not just in meditation, but in your daily doings. We do so much. We want to remember to be, to have the awareness of that stillness of being that exists within us. Going from there, I just want to say something else I did a few days ago. Friday evening, I got home from the center, maybe around 7 o'clock or so, and I thought, oh, well, and the way I kind of said it is, oh, Master, referring to Yoganandaji, what shall we do this evening? And my mind said, well, I could watch the recordings of Jeopardy that I record because I enjoy that. It's a restful thing for me. Well, I could do that, or I could read a book. Oh, well, I haven't had anything to eat yet, so first on the agenda was I'll fix a little something to eat. So I did. Didn't take very long. So I did that, and then I remembered that online, and I'm not a big computer person, you all know that, and yet online I remembered that there was an Ananda webinar, happened to be on karma. Well, okay, I know a lot about karma. I've read books on it, I've taught it, all these things, and yet it was being presented by Asha Praver, who, again, many of us respect so much. And I thought, well, I'll take my dinner to the computer and I'll watch. Let me just tell you, just this connection with her and with 16 other people, because you can see who logs in. I don't know where they were from, but they could be around the world. And I sat there, and I barely remember eating, but I did eat, I remember that. But it was just so divine. I was so glad I had chose that over Jeopardy or reading a book or falling asleep on the sofa. I could have done any of that. And sometimes maybe I still do. But there was the remembrance. I believe it was from Divine Mother. There happens to be, as one of your choices, you can watch, participate, and experience satsang, like-minded souls from around the world, and hear Asha talk on karma. It was a great, great blessing. And I tell you that because I want you to know these are going on. I'm hoping you get emails that remind you. If you don't see me, I will help you. I won't send them to you. I'll get California to let you know there's so many webinars when we can connect in an evening. When it was over, in fact, I typed in as a closing, what a wonderful way to spend a Friday evening. Thank you, Asha. I want all of us to connect more and more in this way. Here I am telling you to go onto the computer. Me telling you that? You all know me. It was an experience. We have that capability. We have this center. 22 years in existence in this center since Pranava and Parvati first brought it here to us. Please do not take it for granted. People who have lived here and then moved away to where there is no center, email after they get settled and say how we miss Ananda Dallas Center. Do not take it for granted. Okay? Many things are here. Raghu and I are here sometimes 7 days a week between the two of us, at least 6 days a week. You can come here after work, before work, meditate in front of this altar. Use this space. Attend workshops. You're here this morning. The beauty, the grace that we receive, whether it's through the computer or whether it's in person here in this center, the redeeming light is just waiting to be redeemed. You know, it's like the rewards cards we get, and then we redeem them at the grocery store or at CVS or wherever they are. They're all over the city now. Every time you tune into your rewards card now for anywhere, think about redeeming the light. Because it's right there, right behind our mind, right behind our every thought, our every action. It's within us. I wrote down a few statistics on this computer. From the computer, not the computer itself, but from Ananda Sangha, Ananda Worldwide. Because in addition to watching that Friday night satsang and webinar on karma, there was a 16-minute video that was sent out. If you didn't get it, see me. I'll forward it to you. From Ananda Worldwide. And it was only 16 minutes of 3 different people presenting maybe about 5 minutes each time. And at the beginning of that, here are the statistics that I want to tell you about. That through this incredible invention, which we call the computer, And through Ananda now using the technology to create a virtual community. Many people don't have a center like this where we can come together in community. They're out there on their own. There's a virtual community, of course, now. And they offer, Ananda Worldwide offers 25 courses, everything from introductions to meditation, preparing people all the way through every step that it takes to then be initiated into Kriya initiation and everything in between. So 25 courses. This virtual community site has approximately 180,000 visitors a year. I mean, I'm amazed when I read this. The virtual community literally has this many people signed into it now, as you know how you have to do your name and your password and all these little things. Now they have 10,000 individual people around the world who have signed in and are part of this virtual community. That is part of our community. How beautiful is that? Healing Prayers, the ministry there, they have 750 people who have asked to be part of the Healing Prayer ministry. And Mary Kretzmann and her friends and helpers help to coordinate that and receive prayers, again, from all over the world. And once a month in an email, you get 2 or 3 names to pray for, usually with the condition of what they have asked for. And sometimes it's life or death situations. Other time it's wisdom and guidance and freedom. So if you want to be a part of that, see Molly, and I'll help on that. 750 people. 22 countries are represented in the virtual community online. 22 countries. And how about this? Kriyavans, people who have studied and made that commitment and want to practice daily, twice daily, the most advanced technique of meditation that Yogananda brought. 53 countries. I didn't even know we had 53 countries. But I counted them because they were going up on this beautiful, beautiful music, of course, Swamiji's music in the background, beautiful photographs, and they were listing all the countries from the Seychelles Islands to Thailand to the United States, of course, and then places I'd never even heard of. And the final one is here. This is in 2013, 510,750 people from 222 countries visited the Ananda.org website. The redeeming light is in every part of this globe and beyond, into all the galaxies. Through the computer systems now and technology, people can not only tune into all of these things, now they put it on something this big and they carry it in their pocket and they listen to it all day long. I don't even know what that's called. This is what God, in this age of energy, of Dwapara Yuga, this is how God is using technology to reach out into our world. And finally, I want to just tell you the little story of this lady on this 16-minute video. Her name is Jill. She's from South Africa. And how she found this path of self-realization. Jill said every Sunday she and her daughter, and I saw a picture of her daughter, I'm estimating maybe she's 16, 15, 17, I don't know, years old, but a young girl. They had mother-daughter time and they bonded. Every Sunday they went out to lunch in South Africa. And one time they were getting up for lunch and they were about to end their time together, and the daughter, whose name I didn't catch, said, "Mom, I've been bitten by a snake." And Jill said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "My foot, I just felt it and I saw it, it was a snake." And so they looked down and almost instantly the foot was starting to change color. So they knew it was a very poisonous, serious incident that had happened. And so they, of course, whisked off to the nearest hospital, who happened to have the antivenom that was needed. That's good. And so they were treating the girl, and she was in the bed, and Her whole body was aching now, Jill said, and she was praying to God. And she didn't have a particular spiritual path at that time. And so they were just sitting there for hours and hours, and the doctors talking about surgery, that this is the only way to relieve this pain in the venom that has really gone through you. Even though we've given you the shot, we still need surgery to save your foot, etc., etc. And Jill said, because she was feeling God and she was feeling frantic and all these things as a mother with a daughter, she put her hands, she said, underneath the daughter's, just out of love. She was just holding her daughter's face like this. And when she did that, the daughter said, "Mom, don't move. Something is going through my body right now." And she didn't know what it was, good, bad, or indifferent. Mother was here, and she said, "Mom, don't move. Something's going on in my body." And so they just stayed there together. This is the healing power, that faith, like in the story of Yogananda, looking at Lahiri's picture. The story of faith of a mother calling out from her innermost heart that was so, whatever it was doing for her daughter. So that moment was done, and when the doctors came back in and started checking the girl and going forward with their plan of surgery, they said, "I'm not sure what's going on here, but something is changing." So they continued to monitor her and watch her. And Jill says surgery was not needed, that in 2 weeks the girl was completely healed. There was no more pain, there was no more disturbance in her body. Her foot was back to normal. And Jill said she knew it was the power of God. That's all she knew. And 2 weeks later, the autobiography of a yogi came into her life. Let me back up. During that time, Jill said to God, to Divine Mother, "I will serve you. You save my daughter from whatever's going on here. I will serve you." That's all she said in her plea. 2 weeks later, the autobiography of a yogi comes to Jill. She reads it. She goes online in South Africa. She finds Yogananda Ji online. She reads the chapter in the AY about Kriya Yoga. She says she really felt guided. I need to find out what this Kriya Yoga is all about. She connects online with Ananda Devarshi, who is the head of the Kriya ministry, responds to her, enrolls her in the next class to start to learn about this. And about a year and a half later, Jill says there she is at Ananda in California, taking Kriya initiation. This is the power of the redeeming light. We don't know how it's going to happen for someone, for a stranger. It's happened for many of us. If you want more information, just start to go inside and ask for guidance. Do I want more information? What is this all about? Ultimately, it's about connecting with God in whatever form you may see God, Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, one of the gurus, Krishna, Buddha. God is calling. The redeeming light is again and again presenting itself in this world for our eyes to see, for our ears to hear, and also for us to be that light. We are the light of God. Why? Because it is within us. It permeates every cell of our being. So just being that willing channel to do the part that we can do in our everyday moments as much as we can. And when we forget, it's okay. It's okay. But try to fit in your life consciously the moments, to choose the webinar over Jeopardy, to choose the Krishna bhajans that are being chanted down in Hare Krishna. Sometimes we carpool and go down there. It's all God. To try to choose the things in your everyday moments that are going to help you to remember the redeeming light is in everything. It is within me. And I am asked to be a channel in the world, not by getting up on a soapbox and preaching, but by living your lives in that consciousness. of the divine, which we already are. God bless you.